Welcome to Stay Tuned Garage. My name is Alex, and today I am going to be fixing this. Alright, so if you have a similar year Honda Accord compared to mine is a 96. I think they made them this same model like 94 to 97, I believe. There's small differences between the years, but the internals and all that are for the most part the same. And if you do have that noise happening to you, it's really annoying and it's really embarrassing at times if you're driving people around and every time your car locks, it makes that sound. So first thing you have to do to fix this is figure out which door is making the sound. For me, it's my passenger rear door. Pretty simple to find out. I'm pretty sure if you do have the sound, you already know what door it is. But if you don't, all you have to do is replicate the sound and then just hear towards which side of the car it's on, and then go to that side of the car and listen to whether it's the rear door or the front door. Should be pretty simple to figure it out. So if we were to do it on my car, let's go to the center. All right, here we are at the center of the car. I'm gonna make the sound and I'm just gonna hear for the right side or the left side. Ready? Right. So now we go to the right side of the vehicle. We replicate it again. Here in the middle. Again, we're trying to figure out if it's on the right side or the left. Right. So there you go. That's how you figure that out. And now, in order to fix this, we're gonna have to take this door card apart, which is really simple. All we have to do is take apart 2 Phillips head screws, which are gonna be located in your door handle. Mine is broken. This is from a long time ago when my car was actually stolen. They took apart the interior and they broke this. I replaced all the other handles but this one. But anyway, so you'd remove that little Phillips head right there. It usually has a little cap that covers it, and then one in the door right here has that little cap. You can just get a flat head screwdriver, pop that open, and then there'll be a Phillips head in there. Once you take those apart, you pry at the bottom of the door panel and it'll pop out, and then you just slide it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so I was a little bit unclear about this part. I forgot to mention, so you take off that Phillips head that I mentioned, and then what you do is you come in here, and there's that rod right here that connects to the door handle, which will then open the door. So what you want to do is, if you see that little clip that's holding on the rod onto your door handle latch, you want to unclip that away from it and then pull the rod out of the door latch. So pull it up, and then you'll be able to disconnect this whole thing. All you do with this is just unplug the switch for your window, and then you take the whole door handle little piece off, and then you're able to take the door off, or take the door panel off. Alright, so there's one more thing I forgot to mention. You have to take this little trim piece off from the door right here. That you can just put your fingers behind it and pry it off. All it has is that one clip you can see there. And once that's off, and like I said, all you do is you get your fingers behind it and you pry it up. It's a couple clips that hold it on, and then you try to slide it up. As you can see, slid that. I'm gonna hold it with my knee. And now on this side, try to slide it up. And there you go. Now you just once you got the door panel off like this, just unplug the light down there. It has a little tab. You can click down on it and it'll pull right out. Same with this one that's on the window switch. You just press down on it like that and it'll come right out. Now just put your door panel aside. All right, now with the door panel off, what you want to do is just peel back this moisture guard here down. You don't have to pull it completely off or super far off, just enough to just take this top off and like halfway down like you have here. That's all you really need, because all you need access to is this hole here. Once you're out here, all you really have to mess with out here is this little bolt right here. It's a 10 millimeter. Just go ahead and remove that, and all that does is just loosen the window track, so that you can go ahead and get to the little bolts that hold in or little screws actually that hold in the actual actuator. So just go ahead and take that. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys in there and show you what you need to remove in order to get this done. Alright, so here we are, and this big thing right here is your lock actuator. There are 3 Phillips head screws that you have to take off in order to get it off. The first one is going to be in this top left corner right there. And then there you can see the other 2. There's one at the very top, and then one right under it, right under that black plastic shield. So those are the 3. There's those 2. There's 1 there, 2 there, and then the third one is right here. You want to remove those 3, and then if you can see that little white part right there that has the little the actuator itself, the little arm of the actuator that moves is on that. So what you're gonna have to do to get this off is, once you get those 3 Phillips head screws off, you're gonna pull the whole actuator towards yourself, so away from the door jamb, and then pull it down on it and you'll be able to get it off. Alright, I just got the actuator out. So it actually connects right here to this, so you just have to disconnect it right here from its electrical connection. Then it has 2 clips that hold it in that go here and here. One of them, so these are just these classical little clips that hold it in. You just got to squeeze them on the other end and pull them out. You should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what to do with this guy now. Alright, so here all we want to do is just open it up. Pretty simple. You just take these 4 small Phillips head screws out and take the cover off. Alright, and here are the insides of the actuator. So what causes it to grind like it does? So normally what happens is, so as you can see, there's a little rubber bump stop right here that so this is the motor over here that turns it, and then that moves the little arm over here, as you can see that. So open would be one way, so this would be open, and then to close it, it turns this way, and then the bump stop stops there, and that stalls out the motor with these gears here. It can't move anymore, so it stops. So in my case, my other bump stop is really deteriorated. Here's a little chunk that came out of it. So when it goes that way, you see that? And that's where you're getting that grinding sound. As you can see, there's actually a tooth missing on my actuator right here. And then look at that bump stop, how messed up it is. So what happened here to mine is actually not very common. Usually what happens with the bump stops, so since the front of the bump stop is super thick, has a lot of padding there, what normally happens is this back part, since it's super thin, on the edges, one of the edges will rip just over time, wear and tear, and then the whole bump stop will fall down, so there will be no cushioning there to stop the arm from moving, and then it'll start grinding. What happened with me is the bump stop just completely deteriorated. It's pretty bad, actually. So what normally all you have to do is remove 2 screws, which would be this one right here. I already removed them. This one, and then this one here. They're just small Phillips head screws. And then you can pry on the whole assembly up slightly. So all you have to do is just pry up on it, just so you can get that piece of rubber back in there. Then all you do is apply a little bit of super glue on it, in between the metal and the rubber, put it back in, screw everything back in. Well, make sure that it works first, and that it stops and it doesn't do this. And once you do that, put everything back in and put it back in, and you're solid. I'm gonna have to do a bit of a more involved repair, in which I'm gonna actually remove the whole assembly, and I'm gonna basically make a new bushing for this side out of some cardboard and electrical tape. So yeah, so if you're just doing the normal thing, you can skip to a certain time. I'll go ahead and edit that time in, or put a link in the description. But for the next couple minutes, I'm gonna be repairing mine. All right, so we got the two little screws out already. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take off this little pin that holds in the arm. So you can see it has a small side on this side and a large on this one. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get a flathead in here and pry it out, and then pull it out with the needle nose pliers, and then we should be good to go. We should be able to just pull it off, if I'm not mistaken. All right, I took that little pin off, and just like that, this just pops right off. And now I should be able to just pull this whole assembly out. So I want to do it with more than just one hand, but sometimes you don't get those luxuries. There it goes. And just like that, the assembly is out. Oh, and as you can see, the bushing actually stayed in the housing. All right, so now I'm gonna go get the materials that I'm gonna make the new bushing out of. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to make my own mount is I'm actually gonna get this piece of paper here. It's actually a 3x5 card. Like, I cut it out of a 3x5 card, and I'm gonna fold it back and forth, kind of like a accordion, kind of like that, so that it creates makes a little bunch. And I'm gonna electrical tape that to the little post right here where it's supposed to go. The bundled part of the little bushing I'm making is gonna go towards the middle. All right, I just finished up making my bushing, and as you can see, I just put the papers there, and then I wrapped it with electrical tape. So I didn't trust electrical tape to do the job completely. So what I did is I got some of the super glue I was gonna use, and I put it in between the paper and the metal, and then I laid out the electrical tape kind of like this, and then I put super glue along the electrical tape, so when I wrapped around, it has the electrical tape's adhesive and super glue, so it should hold pretty well. And now when we hit it, it goes through, no grinding, it stops perfectly both ways. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and put everything back together. We should be good to go. Alright, so now with this all back put together, all you have to do is put it back in, which sounds a lot easier than it is. This is actually probably the hardest part of the whole repair. I remember doing this like 2 years ago, and it was the biggest PITA that I've had to that point. So when you took it out, if you remember, you pulled it towards yourself and then down. So you want to do the opposite of that. You want to go towards yourself, up, like hug that side, and then go down. The problem is, since this arm moves, and as you can see, the little hole isn't all that big, you need to land it perfectly on the little pin that it's supposed to go on, that unlocks and locks the door. You have to get it perfectly on there, and it's really hard because you can't see in there. You can barely fit your hand. It's just a pain, but just keep trying. You'll get it eventually. And yeah, and then once you've got the little pin on there, it'll stay up by itself, and then you just have to put all the screws back in, which can also be a pain because they're so small and all you have is like barely any room to put your hand in there and start screwing them. But once you got a couple threads by hand, then you can screwdriver, and it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll update you guys when I'm done, which is hopefully in not too long from now. And one little thing I wanted to mention before I even start doing it is that if you have the door unlocked, then the pin will be on the furthermost left side. If you lock it, the pin will be on the furthermost right side. So that way, whether you have it locked or unlocked, you can decide where to put that little arm so that it better lines up and you have a better chance of doing it. Because if the pin is over here and your little arm is over here, it's never gonna grab. So you want them to line up, and I mean, it'll get closer, it'll get you closer and make it a little bit easier, but it's still gonna be a pain, like I said earlier. Alright, so back on the phone camera, because that fits in here. I just got it in, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this insight with you. It was a lot harder for me to try and get it to line up correctly when the car was locked. So when I unlocked it, and then the little lever on the actuator, when I turned it to the left, it was a lot easier to get it to line up. It only took me 2 tries like that, after trying after try for like 5-7 minutes the other way. So if you're doing this yourself, I'd recommend try that. Maybe you'll have luck like I did. And now we just gotta get the 4 Phillips heads back on. So doing this is a pain. Like I said earlier, it's a pain, but it won't be as big as a pain as it was to take this thing or put this back on there. So for this, what I did last time is, as you can see, the window track is right here. So what I do is I'll basically go in here, or I'll show you outside. Let's say the window track is this hose right here. I'll have the screw right in my 2 fingers, and what I'll do is I'll put it on like these 2 other fingers, and then I'll go around the window track. I'll grab the screw over here, grab it, then I have the screw, and then I can put it in. You'll probably drop it a bunch of times, no worries. It'll just go down in here, and if it goes into that crevice over here, just get like a magnet. You'll be able to get it out, no problem. And down here, I mean, with a magnet, or you can just look for it. So yeah, you do that with all 3, and then from here, once you get that done, you're basically done. All you have to do is clip these back where they go. One goes over here, right in, where is it? Right in there. As you can see, it's coming out perfect. Then this one goes in there, clip it in, and so forth. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, I just got the actuator back into its place. It's all tight and ready to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and the rest couple steps should be pretty easy. Just a quick reminder, quick rundown. Put this back up. It should still stick, as you can see. That stuff stays sticky for a really long time. Like over here, put this through its hole. Put that behind. Let me see. Yeah, so put this stuff back. Once that's good, you get the door panel, connect the light back up to it, and then you're gonna, once the light is connected onto it, you wanna slide it down into its groove in here, and then you wanna make sure that this isn't like off over here or over here. You wanna make sure it goes in through its little hole specific to this, and just pop it all back in. At that point, you can put the little screw that goes in here in the little door handle, put that screw back in, close that little cap it has, and put the door back in, the door handle, sorry. When you put the door handle back in, you're gonna put this through the little door handle latch hole it has, and then it has that little clip that secures it in place. And then you can just clip this back on to the switch. Actually, you have to do that backwards. You have to do the switch first. Reconnect the switch, the window switch, and then you can do the door thing. And once you do that, and then put this Phillips head back in to the door handle. And once you do that, you're pretty much good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all that, and then we're gonna go ahead and see how we did. All right, so before you put everything together, I would recommend that you lock and unlock your car to make sure that you did it right. Because if you put everything back together and then you go to lock your car and it makes the noise, then you're just gonna have to take everything back apart. So that's up, that's down, perfect. So yeah, fixed. Now just gotta put it back together. And just like that, we are all done here. So total, that was like an hour's worth of work, but honestly, I didn't spend a whole hour doing it. I was doing other things at the same time. Where do I get the good light? Let's see. Here we go. This is pretty good. Oh, my eyes look amazing. Sorry. Yeah, so the reason I didn't just go ahead and replace the actuators, because first of all, I fixed it before, and it was so I know how to do it. And the actuators, I don't even know how much they cost, but this is free. So my advice would be to just go ahead and try and fix it. Do it, and because if you replace the actuator, it's the exact same process to take it off and put it back on, so it's still a pain in the butt. And unless you get an OEM actuator, they're not the best quality, I've heard. I'm not 100% sure, I'd have to look that up, but just from what I've heard, they're not the best quality as OEM. However, I will put a link to a aftermarket actuator, not aftermarket, but like a replica part actuator in the description if you do want to check it out. If your actuator is bad beyond repair, beyond what you can see is repairable, then just buy a new one. Or if you don't want to deal with having to repair it and it possibly going bad again, because that's what happened with mine. The rubber, since like I showed you guys, the rubber was like all messed up. That was the one I had repaired before. It was actually still super glued, so it still stayed there, but part of it chunked off, and that's why it was malfunctioning. So if you do repair it, it still could go bad. It's just wear and tear. at the end of the day. Rubber deteriorates over time. So if you do want to buy a new one, like I said, link in the description. If you don't, you want to try the repair, go ahead and do it. Like for me, it lasted like 2 to 3 years. So I mean, 2 to 3 years of not having to worry about it was pretty nice. And when it did come up again, I already know how to fix it. So there goes that. My Twitter and Instagram will both be in the description. I'm trying to be more active on them. I know Twitter I'm horrible at because there's like no one who follows me. Instagram, I try to be active on it. At least whenever I upload a video, or every now and then. If it's something cool that I'm doing in the video, then I will put it on there. But yeah, follow me down there if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for next time. Peace.